Today we are going to make masks, 3 different kinds. We're going to make the surgical pleated mask with side ties to go around the head. We're going to make a shape mask with ties attached to the edges. And then we're going to make the same shape mask with elastic that goes around the head with the opening at the bottom so it can be adjustable. All of these masks are made with 100% quilting cotton. The ties are made from cotton also, although you can make the ties from pre-folded binding tape that's already packaged, and then there's the elastic. So if you're ready, all you need is a sewing machine and an iron and all your tools, and you're ready. So let's get started. So the first mask we're going to make is the surgical pleated mask with side ties. There is a link in the discussion of this video with all the measurements that you need. This is going to be a 9 by 14 piece that you're going to fold down, or you can have a 9 by 7 that you stitch together. I've stitched a seam at the top of these 2 pieces, and to make your life easier, I pink the edges. It is cotton, it will fray. So I pink the edges. There's a rotary pinker that you can use if you're getting a lot done, or I take my pinking shears and just trim down the sides. But you want to start with the 2 pieces stitched at the top, and then you want to stitch the bottom. I'm using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I always backstitch on the edges because this thing will be laundered, it'll be worn a lot, and you want to make sure that it's, the quality is good. Okay, and you want to turn. I'll move the ties out of the way. Here's my little portable mat for pressing. I use the Aliso iron, which I love. So move this out of the way. So you want to press your mask edges. The secret to having a nicely made mask is the pressing. So you should have a 9 by 5, so to speak, a square, and it's double layered. So also the secret to having great pleats in your pleated surgical mask is to fold down in the middle, start with a pleat in the middle. So after you're both stitched together, you turn and press it, fold it down in the middle, and give yourself a good crease right there. That's going to be your first pleat. Okay, you've got your first pleat. You want to take that middle pleat and fold it down and pin on both sides. Okay, that's your first pleat. And then you want to pleat at the top, because if you don't start in the middle and you pleat at the top and you don't get your pleat right, there's nowhere to go from there. So start in the middle, and then you'll see how to keep them even. So I'm going to do 3 pleats on this mask. 1 at the top, and then 1 at the bottom. Once you start making these, and if you make a lot, you'll be plowing through them. I think I've made a bunch. Okay, and then what I like to do is just give it another good press so that all of your pleats are even and they kind of stay during your construction. Okay, so there's your pleat, and I think that's going to be the top. Base the edges down. Both sides. I'm still using 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so there's your pleated piece. You didn't realize it was going to go this fast, did you? So there's your basted edges, and you've got your pleats in. Now it's time to put the ties on. Okay, now I self-made these ties. I cut fabric, again 100% cotton, quilting cotton fabric. They're 2 inches wide. They're 2 inches wide because I'm going to make a 1/2 inch strip. And because these are straight ties and there's no curves involved, there's no need to do bias. So just cut straight across the grain. I happen to have one of these really handy dandy bias makers. So if you do have that, or if you're the type that folds, holds, and sews, just hold it down and sew it. If your dexterity is that good, you can do that. But this is a great tool. I think the kids are digitally printing these, so get yourself one of these if you don't have one. Okay, and what we're going to do is find the middle of the bias strip. Just find the middle. You can eyeball it and put your finger there, and you're going to place the mask edge in the middle of your fold. Now, whether you're using pre-packaged double fold bias tape or you're making it yourself, it'll be the same. So just place the mask in that edge. Inside, you want to pin it down just to hold it there, because your next step is stitching on the edge. All right, what I'm going to do, see, I've got it pinned, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to start stitching here and go all the way down. Then I'm going to turn it over and start stitching on the other end and stitch down the opposite end. So after pinning the tie onto the side of the mask, you'll see how it's even on both sides. Got it pinned. I'm going to start at the top of the mask so I can come all the way down and stitch right on the edge. I don't want to stitch over that pin. So stitch all the way down. And then keep going. Okay, so I've stitched down on one side. It's fully stitched. Now I'm going to turn it over and start stitching right here. And this also reinforces the edge, and stitch all the way down on this side. Got one tie on one side. So trim your threads. There's a lot of threads involved with making a mask. So you've got one side tied, okay? And then you'll do the same thing on the other side. So now that you put your ties on the sides, you're actually done. So you can see how the mask fits. Put the ties up top and put them around the bottom. So don't forget, the measurements and pattern are in the links below. If you have any questions, put them in the comments, and we will see you next time. Thank you.